My name is Daniela. I am 28 years old and I am coming from America. I had my surgery 3 years ago, which is crazy to think about how fast the time has passed. And ever since I got my surgery, my breathing has improved significantly. And not just that, but I feel more confident about my appearance. And in America, everyone is always asking me if my nose is real or not because my results came out very natural, which is exactly what I wanted. And I feel like it just been really nice to have exactly the dream nose that I wanted and be able to share it with people and also recommend them to a good surgeon, because in America we don't really have good surgeons to the level that Turkey does. I feel like in America they work with very general nose shape, so the diversity and complexity that they operate on is way less diverse. So Turkey was the best option for me because the surgeons were way more experienced, and because of that I got the results that I do, and I love my nose and so does everyone else. So my old nose was a very weird shape. It had kind of like a hump right here on the side and then the tip drooped down a little bit. I was very self-conscious about my side profile, and because my nose was so large and projected over, it took up a lot of space on my face and it made my chin look smaller, and I already had a pretty flat chin, and I feel like my other features looked less defined because my nose was just so big. And I have naturally big eyes as well, but I feel like all the attention always went to the middle of my face. So ever since I got my nose done, I got it a normal shape that's symmetrical and smaller so that the other features on my face actually stand out. And now I have my dream side profile, and my side profile is one of my favorite things about my new face, and I'm very thankful for that because before I wouldn't even want to take pictures even from the side or anywhere where you could see how over projected my nose was, and now I always want people to see my side profile. I've been doing research for years about rhinoplasties, and it took me 3 years to do full research because I wanted to research outside of America. So I started my research in America, and then I decided to research the countries in the world that had the best rhinoplasties. That's actually how I found Turkey. And then once I started researching about surgeons in Turkey, that's where I found that Dr. Dilber is actually one of the top surgeons, if not the top surgeon in Turkey. And he was located in Istanbul, which felt like the perfect place to travel to because it's a big city with a lot of, things like if you need a pharmacy and if you need places to rest, it has a lot of options for hotel stays that are really nice, and it's a very developed city. So I did all my research, and when I found the surgeon, I reached out to the clinic via WhatsApp, which is where you coordinate with his surgery coordinators and assistants, and everyone was so welcoming and friendly and helpful, and they answered all my questions about the surgery and coming for surgery overseas. And I felt like their bedside manner and how they responded was better than the surgeons in America that not only charge you like $200 for a 10-minute consult and they don't really answer your questions after that. And I just felt way more comfortable coming to his clinic. And then when I arrived in person, I couldn't have asked for a better experience. His entire team and himself made me feel so comfortable that I knew that I had made the right decision to travel from America to Turkey for my nose job. So my healing process was actually really simple, I think. I thought it was going to be a little bit more difficult and intense. I've had friends that have gotten nose jobs in America and they have had a very different experience than mine. A lot of them said that during their recovery, every month the shape of their nose would change a lot because it takes 1 year for your nose to technically heal after a nose job, and a lot of my friends were having a lot of complications after. But ever since I got out of my surgery and they removed my cast, I already loved my new nose, and I knew that once the swelling went down I was gonna love it even more. So for me it was a very easy process. There was never a day where I felt like I had face dysmorphia or felt uncomfortable with my nose or was scared that in a year it wasn't gonna heal like I wanted it to. And I feel very fortunate, but I also feel like it's because Dr. Dilber is such a good surgeon that even from the beginning, you're gonna love your nose. And even people that have thicker skin and it takes longer to heal, I feel like are still very satisfied, because I've talked to a couple of girls that have gotten surgery by him and everyone has shared their experience, and it's just been very different than what I've heard from my friends in America who feel almost anxious and scared because after 2 months they still feel like their nose is still very swollen or not the shape that they expected to have after the procedure. I feel like ever since I got out of surgery, I was just very thankful because I knew that he had changed basically my life, which sounds dramatic, but I was just so happy with my results. Ever since going back to America after my surgery, the first 2 years I've, met a lot of people, and one of the girls that I met I worked at a job with, and she loved my nose, and from the beginning she asked me if I had had a nose job because people think my nose is natural most of the time because it looks perfectly symmetrical with my face and it's not overdone, which is the results that I wanted. And I told the girl that my nose was, operated on, and I came to Turkey. I had told her that I would highly recommend going to Turkey instead of going to an American surgeon, because American surgeons, like I've said, are just not as advanced with their skill and technique because they don't operate on as difficult cases on a daily basis. And her case was semi-complicated because she had a more difficult nose than I would say I did when I got my surgery. So I highly suggested the doctor to her just because I knew that in America, the likelihood of her having the results she wanted were gonna be smaller than if she came to Turkey. And after giving her all the information and connecting her with the clinic, she was super happy and actually decided to come to Turkey to get her nose operated. And she loves her results and she's super happy. And she also doesn't have to get a revision, which is the best case scenario, because I have another friend that unfortunately I did recommend to the clinic, but she felt it was too difficult to travel to Turkey. And so she went with a doctor in Beverly Hills, which is one of the more prestigious places you could get surgery in California and in America in general. And she paid $25,000 US to get her nose done. And she's had so many complications, and she actually has to get another nose job now because her surgery ended up not going smoothly, and even though she followed all of the instructions and did all the aftercare correctly, her nose was just difficult for the surgeon to operate on because she had filler and a bunch of other things, which in Turkey they know how to handle all of that. And in America, they just don't. And even though she paid $25,000, it didn't guarantee that she was gonna have the results in the nose that she wanted. And unfortunately, she told me that she wishes that she would have come to Turkey for her original primary rhinoplasty, and now she has to get a revision, which is a little bit more complicated, unfortunately. I recommend Dr. Dilber to anyone that wants to get their nose done. Anytime people compliment my nose or ask me about my, facial structure, I always tell them Dr. Dilber. I'm made in Turkey and I'm proud. I always tell people that he's highly trained, and not just that, but he really makes you feel so at home and so comfortable and so safe. And I feel like that's very important when you're getting such an intrusive procedure done. Your nose is the middle of your face. It's not like getting breast augmentation or body work or any other type of surgery. I feel like it's the first thing that people see on your face and you can't hide it. So I always tell people, make the right decision and be smart about the surgeon you choose, because it could alter your future life for the better or for the worse. And the cheaper things in life always end up being more expensive, and trying to take shortcuts with something as important as your nose is never worth it. So I always tell people, if you're looking to have a really good surgery experience with rhinoplasties, improve your breathing, and also look really, really good, you have to come to Turkey to Dr. Dilber.